Welcome, everybody, to the Xavier Basketball Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I'm your host for the Xavier Basketball Weekly Show, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my co-host, legendary Xavier broadcaster, Andy MacWilliams. How you doing, Andy?
I'm feeling really legendary today, sitting here in my tidy whities, recuperating from my hip surgery and just surveying a climactic final day of the Big East regular season.
Yeah, and I think that to be in the tournament, I think if Xavier beats Butler, I think they're safely in. My only concern is a loss to Butler and maybe a loss in the first round of the Big East tournament, then maybe not so much.
Yeah, Mike, I think you got that figured out really well. You're sharp, you have experience, you're savvy. A win over Butler, it's a flat out. I don't care what they say about bubbles and first.
Yeah, they got to be in if they beat
first
Butler.
Four out. They're in. They'd be win over Butler. They're 9-9 in the Big East, which is the second best power conference in the country. They're going to go 7 deep into the league. They're 20-11 overall. They have no bad losses, and they have an NET probably around 38. There's no way that Xavier is out. It doesn't matter what they do. In the Big East tournament, they can enhance their situation with a couple of wins or a win in the Big East tournament. But everything is irrelevant regarding Big East tournament seed and la-di-da if they beat Butler.
Yeah,
and then if they get some help from St. John's, if they knock off Marquette at MSG, and St. John's is hell on wheels, in New York, and Marquette is really, is taking the gas pipe for the second year in a row. I mean, they'd be a slight favorite in that game, but Xavier could finish. Probably won't, but they could finish as high as a 5, maybe a 6. But if they beat Butler, hey, bring on DePaul on Wednesday. Who cares?
If they beat Butler, or when they beat Butler, they'll both be tied at 9-9. Does a tiebreaker favor Butler or Xavier? Or?
It depends. If it's a head-to-head tie, 9-9 between Butler and Xavier, Xavier gets and Marquette is out. If it's a 3-way tie, Xavier's screwed. They're the 7 seed because of some convoluted round robin deal. But if Seton Hall beats Creighton to win the outright title, then Xavier would get the 5 seed in a head-to-head tie with Butler. And if it goes the other way and Creighton wins and forces a tie at the top of the league, then Butler would get the 5 seed. So it's either 5 or 6. No, odds are I'd say it's 60-40 they're going to have to play in the opening round against DePaul on Wednesday. But it's a moot point because if Xavier beats Butler, because the bottom line is get to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
And in my humble opinion, if they beat Butler, they'll be maybe a 10, maybe a 9, maybe an 8 in the NCAA, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and once you get there, Xavier's been a 10 before and went a long way.
Well, I take you back to 2017 when Xavier was the seventh Big East team in the tournament. I mean, there's 6 other teams ahead of them. They went to New York. They beat DePaul in the opening round. They beat, who did they beat? They beat Butler in the quarters, and they should have beat Creighton in the semis. They got a horrible seed in the NCAA. They end up knocking off Maryland, Florida State, and Arizona and go to the Elite 8. And that's with, Tyreek Jones was on that team. Quentin Gooden was the starting point guard. There's some analogies here. Now, of course, if Xavier could reacquire Trayvon Blewett and J.P. McCura and had that shooting, then I would really, I think they'd go a long way. But that's not a reality. Wait, they got Kiki Tandy. What the heck?
Hey, and you never know when Kiki's going to go off.
It's been pretty consistent in the Big East that he's been a double-digit performer. He's a flat-out flamethrower, great shooter. His defense maybe needs a little work, but he's only a freshman. This kid is going to be. This guy's going to be a 3-year starter beginning next year. And his running mate, I just got some information on DeJuan Odom, who's Xavier's top recruit for next year. He'll be on campus in a couple of months. And He scored 27, 9 rebounds, 4 assists as his team, St. Francis of Alpharetta, Georgia, knocked off some Green Forest for their second straight Georgia public school championship. Now, Odom is he could have gone anywhere. I mean, they offered him the keys to the car at Mississippi State. Georgia wanted him. Everybody in the SEC and the ACC, and he's been committed to Xavier for going on 2 years now. And I would guess that he and Kiki will play together in the backcourt next year. It's going to be young, but it's going to be dynamic. I tell you, there's not going to be a lack of confidence to take those long shots and also put it on the floor and get to the rim with those guys.
Yeah, we're still going to have 3 more years of Zach Freemantle, who I think is going to be a stud as he gets older.
Whoa! Did he play a game at Providence the other night or what?
Yeah.
13 points, 9 rebounds, every 50-50 ball. He got totally screwed on he rebounded a free throw miss from Dontarius James, which was the best basketball play of the night. And that the zebra, there was no contact. My son looked at it 6 times on video. No contact. He just zipped in, got the ball. It was a 62-60 game. Xavier, that was a crucial, and he calls a foul on the play.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what he was looking at.
And when Xavier and Providence play, I think it's safe to say those teams kind of mirror each other right now. And I think every game's going to be decided by a couple points no matter how many times they play.
And they could very well play. If Xavier gets I worked it out, if Xavier gets the 5 seed, they will play PC. PC will be the number 4. That'll be a quarterfinal game on Thursday afternoon, the second game. If Xavier gets the 6, they'll play the late game Thursday night, I believe, against Seton Hall. So, it's pick your poison in the league. But I thought Fremantle, the first game at Cintas against Providence, and they have those big bully boys inside, Watson and Young, and they've got Diallo. I mean, those guys all go to the boards like animals. Fremantle was a little off his game, but he adjusted. I'll tell you, he owned Watson and Young. They were no factor in the block. His defense was much better, and he scored. He got his shots. Got on the glass. Fremantle is going to be. I mean, I've sung his praises before. He's going to be a 4-year, 1,500-point guy.
Yeah, because he's a guy that I think, especially as the years go on, his shot's going to develop even more, and it's going to be a guy that can pull you away from the basket and hit a 3 on you.
Well, they already have a lot of plays in the books whereby just that. They leak him out on either wing, and they trust him to catch and shoot that 3. And he's like the prototypical stretch 4 in today's NCAA high D1 NBA parlance. And Xavier's going to be losing Tyreek Jones, and he had a fantastic senior year, averaging a double-double. He is 9th in the country in rebounding, number 1 in the Big East. I mean, on and on. And what a motor! But Xavier's got a pretty nifty guy waiting in the wings in Deontay Miles. He's going to give him a different look because he also can float out and hit 3s. But he runs like a deer. He's now 7 feet, and I don't know what his vertical is. I mean, it's just. I mean, he can basically lay the ball. He didn't have to jump and the ball's in the hole. He's a lefty, and he shoots it well. He's got the hooks and the up and unders and the whole bit. I mean, if he stays healthy, and Travis is really excited about his progress. They did the right thing. He could have been an impact player this year in some situations.
Yeah.
Especially with the injury to Ramsey and some of the other stuff that went on. But Travis just made a commitment to Deontay and his parents. We're going to develop him. We're going to work on his body because he needs to get up to like 225, 230, which he's approaching. And he is right out of the box. I believe, will be a real factor. And I think Travis will add another big in the graduate transfer market, I would think. But maybe Ramsey's knees will resolve themselves, and he's a pretty good player there.
Well, Jason Carter's
not been able to get out, and Carter's going to be Carter is a sneaky good player, man. He makes a lot of plays off the ball. I mean, he does get beat off the dribble. He had trouble with Alpha Diallo in the PC game, but everybody has trouble with that guy when you ISO him. And He's a very smart player. Yeah, I think he had 4 steals in the Providence game. He's great on help defense, and now he's a deep thinker. He's starting to shoot the ball well, and he has range out to right or left wing from 22 feet, so 22 plus feet.
Well, see,
so,
that's
he'll
why
be at the.
that's why I'm really interested to see what happens if they get to the NCAA tournament, because with Tandy and Carter, if they could go off a couple games, I mean, this is a team talented enough with Tyreek Jones and Najee Marshall, and you got a guy like Marshall that can put the team on its back. I really think this is a team that could surprise some people.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that analysis. I think it's spot on because I'm a Xavier, I'm a Xavier zealot. But Scruggs, did not play. Maybe could have. They decided to hold him out. He will be available, as I understand it, for the Butler game. And Scruggs, junkyard dog, big guard, he can score. He'll be available. Quentin Gooden is showing signs. I thought he played some really good minutes against Providence, and if he could, either off the bench as the sixth man, he and Tandy, that adds some depth. And I think the way this team is playing, if they get a decent matchup, even if they're a 10, if they get a team like St. Mary's or somebody in that 7 line, there are no great teams there.
Yep.
And my ideal matchup, maybe I'm full of it, is in Cleveland. Xavier 10 seed, they play as 7, whoever that would be, and the 2, and they get to call their shot because they're a top 16 team in the bracket. The Dayton Flyers have already, I'm sure, picked Cleveland as their regional, and I'd love to see a Dayton Xavier team. I mean, Xavier's played a much better schedule. Dayton, I've watched them; they're very good. Obi Toppin, great player, Crutcher, that whole group, but. It's one of those deals where everybody expects them to make a deep run. They might even be a 1 seed now, they're talking. They better run the table in the A10. If they have one blemish, just like St. Joe's in 2004, one blemish, and they're immediately discounted to a 2. I mean, they're waiting. The Jay Billises of this world are waiting to just go, I told you so. They're very good. I think Grant is a great coach, and
I think there's no doubt
about him. He's a great player.
There's no doubt. I think they're a top 5 team in the country. I watched them play Kansas earlier in the year, and I watched them run Georgia out of the building in that holiday tournament. They're a really good basketball team.
Yeah, I think they are. I think they take care of the ball. They move it well on offense. He's got them playing systematic defense. Toppin is got to be a lottery pick in the NBA, and great. But the Atlanta 10, frankly, the level of competition has been a disappointment. GCU is not as good as everybody thought. UR High has not had a great year. I mean, Richmond. I mean, who else has really been as overachieved in that league other than Dayton? They've run the table. Aren't they 17-0?
I think Duquesne's a sneaky
kind
of
good
good team.
They'll never be.
Come on.
That group.
They're the Duquesne Dukes.
Never be. No. Yeah. I remember. I used to live in Pittsburgh when they had. Let's see, who were the big players back in the '70s when Red Manning was the coach. They had the brothers, the twin brothers, and Mike Barr and the big guy. They had a good big guy back then. I can't think of his name. Lionel something. Anyway, they were good. They were good back then. Back in the days of the 32-team NCAA.
Are you thinking of LaSalle with Lionel Simmons?
No.
Okay.
No, that was different. They were a pretender. I mean, Simmons was a great player, but they never did anything in the tournament.
Well, Duquesne is 21-8. I'm just in my defense.
I don't care. I mean, they played nobody in the preseason other than Pitt, and maybe West Virginia.
Oh no, they didn't play Pitt or West Virginia. They
always do.
They did play Indiana State.
Oh boy, hey, the Sycamores! Wow, that's man.
Andy, that's where I went to college. Now, back off a little bit, all right?
Well, you back when you were there, they had Larry Bird and Carl.
No, I'm not that old. Eddie Bird played when I was there.
Okay, all right.
Hey, Dayton lost.
You look so young, though. You're so well preserved.
Oh yeah. Well, Dayton only beat Duquesne by 10 at Dayton, and they only beat Duquesne by 4 at Duquesne.
Oh my God! Well, that's another indictment of the Flyers. Hey, I like Dayton. I'm always treated well when I go up there.
Well, I
They're
think they're
good
dangerous
people.
just
They're
because
just
Obi Toppin may
they're
be the best player in the country.
oh, he's unbelievable. I've watched him play, man. He's got speed. He's tough. He has great hands. He's always some of those lob plays they run to him are just unbelievable timing plays. I mean, he's an elite athlete. I don't know how the hell they got him. I don't know where he came from. I don't want to know. But he's the consummate. He's the best Flyer player I've seen since.
Well, I mean, look at all
Roosevelt
the guys
Chapman.
that have slipped through the cracks before and went to. I mean, there's a lot of guys. I mean, Kawhi Leonard, whatever the hell his name is, who's maybe the best player in the NBA right now, came from San Diego State.
Yeah, that's true.
So Larry
That's
Bird
true.
went to Indiana
I'd like
State.
to see the Dayton Xavier series resume, but I didn't mean that. Sorry, I didn't mean that. It'd be fun on some level, but it would be a lose-lose for
How
everybody.
about Lewis? Let's just play Dayton for the national championship.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, NCAA when you're mandated to play them, sure, bring them on. I mean, they're
Or the
very
Final
good. They
Four.
might be
I mean,
put
yeah.
on a neutral
I'll
floor.
tell you what. Everybody at CBS would have a stroke if Xavier was playing Dayton in a national championship game.
Well, that'd be great, but that's not going to happen.
Ratings would be through the roof in Cincinnati, though. All right, let's talk about Butler a little bit. Butler beat St. John's their last game, 77-55. They had 5 guys in double figures. They've got Kamir Baldwin. They've got Sean McDermott. This is a really good team, and Xavier's going to have to shoot the ball from outside a little bit to be able to win this game.
I think they'll have the openings to if they shoot the 3 balls selectively. You look at the numbers. Butler hasn't guarded the 3 all that well this year, and there'll be opportunities. I mean, Xavier lost 66-61 at Hinkle back February 12th, and frankly, Xavier didn't play very well. They started badly. I'm not making excuses. Paul Scruggs had his whole family there. He hit his first 3, and then he got 2 quick fouls, and he was totally out of sync. He wasn't a factor. Now, if he's healthy, which I think he'll be near healthy, he's a big wild card in this game. He has a penchant for getting into foul trouble because he's a little handsy, but you can't fault his motor, his effort. So I think Scruggs will play better. Q didn't score at all at Butler. That was when he was in his dark period. And Tandy had a bad ball game down there for whatever reason. The only guy that really played full 40 minutes for X was Tyreek. He had a double-double. Najee got so enamored with guarding Kamar Baldwin that he scored 2 in the first half, then 18 in the second half. So there's a lot of room for improvement for Xavier. Home court, senior night, big advantage. I don't think the game will be too big for them. The players realize this is they punched their ticket to the NCAA here. Everybody's talking about Butler now is up to a 5 seed in some of these projections, which is, they started 15-1. They're a 6-8 team in the second half of the season, and I think they've lost three straight Big East road games, and they were blown out in 2 of those 3. So they've got their good points. And they play the Butler way. They're very low mistake, low turnover, low foul team.
Yeah, they're not going to beat themselves. You've got to play well.
No, and their inside guys, the 2 Bryces, Lindsay and Golden, are very serviceable. Those guys, smart players. They know how to use their body. Xavier's got to dominate on the boards. They've got to be like +8 on the boards and maybe +3 or 4 on the offensive glass to win this. Keep the turnovers in perspective. I think it's going to be a half-court game. And Xavier, Xavier's sweet spot is winning like 66-59 at Centos, something like that. And I think they're more than capable. It's the last game number 90 in the Big East regular season schedule. So Xavier's going to know what they have to do. This could be a triple whammy win here. If they win and Marquette is, down at 8-10, Xavier not only gets a top 6 seed in the Big East, but they get a sure ticket to the NCAA, and they get a huge quad 1 win over Butler, which and they give themselves some real opportunity. Go right to that quarterfinal game, and as I've got it, they would play either Seton Hall or Providence, and there's a huge quad one there. They could climb up to a very nice NCAA seed, maybe 6, maybe 5. I mean, I'm not saying Xavier's going to win the tournament. Frankly, I don't know. I don't even want them to win the tournament. I don't want them to play 3 games.
Yeah,
I don't either. I've seen so many teams just have the stuff rung right out of them in those conference tournaments, especially a league as good as the Big East.
Well, yeah, because you may have to beat Seton Hall, Creighton, and Villanova. I mean, that's not easy to do in 3 days.
That's like I don't know. That's like the Battle of the Bulge or something, or the Ardennes Forest in World War I. I mean, that's trench warfare. They might have to come back and play again Thursday. Yeah. And I'm hoping that they get a quarterfinal win. They don't have to play in the stupid play-in game, because that game, all that can do is hurt you.
Yeah.
They get a win over, and they play a decent semifinal, and then they go home on early Sunday, and they see the bracket selection Sunday, and they're playing like a late game Friday to give you. That's always worked for Xavier when they get the extra prep time.
Yeah. And
the extra rest time. And this is not the deepest team in the world. I mean, he's playing, he's playing like
8 guys. Yeah.
6.5 guys. I mean, Dontarius James got some PT up at Providence, and it looked bad for a guy who hadn't played any meaningful minutes since January. But I don't think they want to. He's not gonna play unless somebody gets hurt. Which, Travis knows his personnel. I thought Travis coached his butt off against PC. Using the press, weaving in the zones. He used 2-3-3-2, 1-3-1, all sorts of matchups. He did a great job, and he was putting a Band-Aid on the defense because he didn't have 2 Najee Marshalls. Either Pipkins was loose or Diallo was loose. I mean, he didn't have anybody with Scruggs hurt. He didn't have anybody to mark the extra guy.
All right, so I'm looking at Joe Lenardi's bracketology, and right now he's got Xavier against Indiana in Dayton in the first 4.
And now, if Xavier beats Butler, it's not going to be any first 4 stuff. I mean, that doesn't even make any sense. That's nuts.
But the one thing I do like about that, is then they would play Colorado next, which is a team I think Xavier can beat. I think Xavier would wipe Indiana off the map. And then they'd get to play.
I don't know enough about. All I know is it would be like a road game on steroids, because Xavier was up there in 2014 in that first 4 deal, and they played a really good NC State team, and they were booed from the moment they got off the bus. I have no idea what those people think, but like is Xavier blackballing them to get into the Big East or something, which is totally absurd. The TV people don't want Dayton, because it's an overlap of TV markets.
Well, I can tell you this. It's been 3 years since IU's been in a tournament, so you're probably going to have a road game anyways, because everybody from Indiana is going to come watch. Because let's face it, Xavier is a more relevant program this century than Indiana is.
Well, I think that's a moot point. I don't know what Joey Brackets is thinking of. I mean, he's a
well, he's also saying
employee.
Right
he's
now.
He's never liked Xavier. I mean, he's a nice guy, but he always undersees Xavier. So there's no way they're a first 4 team if they beat Butler. I could see them being a first 4 team if they lose to Butler on Saturday. Then, God forbid, lose to DePaul on Wednesday. That's 3 straight losses.
Oh, hey, get this. And this is his other part of the first 4. His other part of the first 4 is Arizona State against Cincinnati.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds good on paper. Arizona State will fold like a cheap tent, as they usually do when they get to the NCAA.
Yeah, but so does Cincinnati, so that makes it a toss-up game.
I don't know. Geez. I mean, I don't want to be on the same floor as the Boarcats, as long as we don't get matched up with them. That'd be just our luck in a year where we beat the crap out of them in the shootout. We have to play them again in the NCAA tournament.
As long as we beat the crap out of them.
It's not going to happen. I'll tell you right now.
Let's play them in the Sweet 16. Play Dayton in the final.
I think Brandon's a cool guy. I want to see him do well. There are a lot of good people over there, and they made a good coaching pick. And even my man Mick is kicking ass out there in the pack.
Oh, Mick is looking good out there right now. I mean, I think that Mick could make a case to be the coach of the year right now, the way that team's turned around from the start of the season.
Coach of the year in what, in the Big West?
No,
something?
college basketball, because that team, nobody
college
thought.
Basketball can't be a break.
Hey, who would you take over?
Maybe in the Pac-12.
No, nobody thought UCLA would be any good this year.
Well, that was Mick doing, disinformation or something.
No,
I mean, he's no way he's the national coach of the year now.
Oh,
you got Dutcher at San Diego State. Who else do you have?
Wait a second. At San Diego State, they're playing in the Big West?
Yeah, but that's a Mountain West.
Mountain West? Whatever. Same difference.
That's a hell of a team at San Diego State.
Oh, I know, but that's what I'm saying. San Diego State has a hell of a team. UCLA doesn't. And UCLA's a team that got beat by 20 by Notre Dame earlier in the year. They lost to North Carolina by 10, which normal years may not be that big a deal, but North Carolina and Notre Dame are not that good.
If Mick is National Coach of the Year, I got 20 acres of prime swampland.
I don't care because you know how much fun.
Okie swamp, I'll sell you.
You know how much fun I could make fun of UC fans, though, that told me that their program would turn around, that Mick was the reason they sucked?
Yeah, that's true.
You got to admit, it would be a little bit fun to rub it in their faces.
You got a point there.
Because I don't even like Mick. I've met him a few times, and I found him not the nicest guy in the world, just to put it nicely. But I do enjoy him having success just because it was UC he came from, and all the UC fans made fun of UCLA. And on social media, you saw all the posts through the first half of the season. But now it's like Mick doesn't even coach in college basketball anymore.
I don't know. He's got a lot to get Coach of the Year. I mean, you got Patrick Ewing at Georgetown. No, wait a minute. That didn't work out too well.
No, I don't think it's.
Dave Lato's had a great year at DePaul. He'd be right up there.
No, they were the opposite of Mick. They were good at the start of the year.
Yeah, jeez.
Everything went to hell after that. But yeah, UCLA's on a 7-game winning streak, and I think they're about to win the Pac-12.
They had a 1-game lead at the last time I looked, and that gives you an idea of how powerful. And I'm being sarcastic.
No, actually, the Pac-12 is much better this year than what it has been the last few years. It still sucks,
because
but
it's
been
better. Totally brutal. It should have been like B2.
Oh, yeah, a couple years ago, yeah. I mean, Colorado's a good team. Colorado's one of the 2 teams to beat Dayton. USC was good for a while. Oregon's good.
That coach at Colorado's a good dude. I like
he's
him.
a good coach, too.
Davis played him, had a home and home with them. That guy's Mac really liked him. He's a very personable guy. And that point guard they have is off the charts good.
Yeah, they're a dangerous team. Are you talking about McKinley Wright?
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Play, boy.
Yeah, he's
the problem
good.
with them is that they're really tough at altitude. But you bring them down to sea level, and, they have too much oxygen in the blood.
Okay. Yeah, they beat Clemson at Clemson, but Clemson, the whole ACC's terrible now.
That's a big win there.
Yep, the whole ACC.
You ever tried to get the Clemson?
No, why would I want to do that?
Yeah, and you have to have a full tank of gas to find Clemson. That place is obscure.
I don't know why I'd want to go to Clemson. Maybe to watch a football
Well, it's a beautiful place once you get there, but the officials are all Clemson grads, the typical stuff.
Man, we play in the Big East, so it's not like it could be any worse.
What was it? That's a shot. What's the matter with the Big East? We got Connecticut coming.
I'm talking about the officials.
Oh man, I'll tell you. I've tried to be mature, and I like fine wine. I've aged over the years. I'm no longer a temperamental.
Andy, I sit next to you during games sometimes.
I tried to do that.
Andy, I sit next to you at games sometimes. Don't try that.
Well, I mean, I could be myself when I'm.
Oh yeah, the officiating is atrocious in the Big East. I thought the Big Ten was bad until I saw the Big East.
I don't know. It's like the guys make a mistake early on. It's like I'm going to make a makeup call to make up for another one that I should have made up. It's like that Geico commercial where the guy's a tailgating to get a. It's like you made a mistake. All right, forget it. See, call what your eyes dictate. Let's not try to even up the score here.
Well, I think the problem is this. I don't even think they're trying to make up calls. I just don't think they know what they're doing, and they're not very good.
I don't want to go down that. That's too dark a path. I don't want to go down that path. I don't even look to see who the officials are. I mean, I used to actually, keep track of records, and you can track officials' performance now on Ken Palm. He's got their whole schedule and what the record is and all that. I'm not going down that road.
Yeah, you don't want to be pissed off before the game even starts.
Nah, it's a gray-haired guy with a pompadour. I don't know what his name is. I just hope he doesn't show up.
Yeah. All right, Andy.
What do you think about?
What do you think about we get together Monday at 3:00 and talk about the Big East tournament and Xavier's big win over Butler?
Sounds good to me. Sounds good. I'll be available.
All right, guys. Andy, tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter.
Actually, I'm just composing a Twitter storm at the moment. MM_NDimpact. All lowercase. MM_NDimpact.
All right, guys. And you can find me at Grueling Truth. So make sure you check us out. We'll be back Monday for the Xavier basketball show. And if you like the NHL, tonight you can hear me and Sam McGinnis on the NHL Weekly Show at 9 o'clock. You can hear that live on Spreaker and on thegruelingtruth.com and in podcast form after that on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher. Any place you find podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Andy MacWilliams, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.